They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of display.
Hey everybody, this is Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, you would hold it hostage and not negotiate with lies. Now, I had to make this video, man. This is for my Xbox people, man, because my boys got an Xbox. A lot of my friends got some Xboxes. I haven't had an Xbox which I purchased since the 360. You know what I mean? Because, Xbox, and I'll elaborate further on that when I go into this video. Xbox, in actuality, 360 was when Xbox died. Towards its end, it started dying. Now, this is the hashtag I want y'all to put, man, for Xbox, for Phil Spencer, man, for Xbox and Microsoft. What games? Hashtag what games Xbox. Hashtag where the games Xbox. Hashtags Xbox deserves games. Hashtag what games Xbox. Phil Spencer is, in all honesty, he's got to make a choice. In fact, Phil, after this video, man, my email's on I'm going to have my email on the screen on this video. Email me. Because right now, Microsoft needs to make a decision. They either going to fire Phil Spencer or demote him. Because Phil Spencer is too hyped with being a celebrity than actually delivering what Xbox needs. There's a lot of YouTubers and a lot of sites that are covering it, that are, that are underplaying it. Phil Spencer actually did worse than the guy who launched the original Xbox One. Now, a lot of people gonna disagree. They're gonna say this and that, but I'm about to break it down. Phil Spencer, after this, you gotta email me. You gotta email me. My email is gonna be on the screen, whatever. Email me. Microsoft, email me. You know what I'm saying? Or just admit that you no longer care about these consoles and you just throwing shovelware out there. That's what the Xbox has become. It's become shovelware. It's just there. There's no games. Now let me get into the, as David Carroll would say, the meat of this video. Had to add that. So Phil Spencer, man, has failed. He's failed twice. He's failed multiple times. He's failed worse than the guy who launched the Xbox. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the guy who launched the Xbox, when he launched it, he tried to force people to buy a Kinect with their Xbox. He tried to force people to buy a Kinect with their Xbox. And, the Xbox was priced at $500. They did a lot of video about films, stuff that had nothing to do with games. That's what the Xbox did. Now, that's what he did. Of course, he also launched the always online thing. Choosing to ignore. And to me, this actually showcases how ignorant to the people in charge of the Xbox, Microsoft, is. So that's what the guy did. The guy, yeah, like I was saying, the Xbox One original launch just shows how ignorant and unaware of what's going on that Microsoft has when it comes to the Xbox development. I mean, the Xbox, the first one was called the Xbox 360. Then it just was named Xbox One for some stupid reason. Now also, when the Xbox One launched, it was always online. They were pushing that even though the internet isn't everywhere. All disadvantages. They were forcing the Kinect. They didn't have many games at launch. They were trying to push it's for watching movies and all that stuff. It was a disaster. They didn't even want to let you trade and resell games. It was a disaster. But, Phil Spencer comes in. A lot of people like to treat Phil Spencer like he's a holy man. But what Phil Spencer did was he did things that should have been done already, that were already done. For example, he took out the Kinect. You don't need to buy the Xbox One with a Kinect. Okay, you're not forcing people to buy an accessory, which the 360 didn't do. You know, that already happened. You're not forcing people to always be online. You know, okay, that should have been happened. You know what I'm saying? And then and he did all that. You know, then he released a couple games. Then he started the initiative of backwards compatibility. Well, you know, remember the PS2? The PS2 had backwards compatibility to the PlayStation 1, and the super expensive PS3 had backwards compatibility to the, you know, PS1, 2, and so on. So Xbox is actually treading on. It wasn't new space. The Xbox One wasn't the first one to do backwards compatibility. It should have been there. Okay, he did that. Then what he does this whole I'm a pro gamer stuff and so on. But here's the thing. How are you a pro gamer, Phil Spencer? How are you a pro gamer for the gamers and so on when I have a PC? I have a PC, look. I got a PC. I don't have to pay to access my own motor to play online, my own modem to play online. You didn't have to pay to play your games online on the origin, you know, what was it, the PlayStation 2? You know what I'm saying? Or I think even, yeah, you didn't have to pay online. You have to pay. How are you for gamers? When I buy a console, I buy and pay for my internet, and you're charging me to access my own internet. But he's for the gamers. Now, here's the other thing. Here's the thing. Yes, Phil Spencer built the whole online infrastructure around the Xbox. He made Game Pass a lot better, but you made Game Pass a lot better with no real games. There ain't that many games. Now, here's the ultimate, you know, here's the ultimate failure. So now let me just get to the Xbox event. The Xbox One event for the, you know, Xbox Series X, which the name is just. So we had Xbox One, and now you're gonna call it the Xbox Series X. Then you're gonna have the Series S. How hard was it to just do Xbox 2X and Xbox 2S? Simple. You know, you're now trying to confuse. I wonder what the moms and parents gonna think when they offer them an Xbox One X, and you know, they don't know the difference between a series. The Xbox has done things that just boggle your mind. When simple things such as a name, they failed on that twice. Xbox 360, you could have easily came out with the Xbox 720. Easy. It's more numbers, so it's the next console. Xbox, you decided to call Xbox One, well, the sequel should have been Xbox 2. Easy. Now, I saw the Xbox event. You got no heavy hitters. You got no games. And Halo, you're forcing Halo to play between the first gen, between Xbox One and Xbox Series X. A lot of people, instead of making a game, here's a game that's pushing on new next gen hardware, you're forcing a cross compatible game on old gen and on PC and so on. Phil Spencer has lost. He's lost himself. Too many people are treating a guy like he does something. They're giving him all his fame. The fame is gone to his head. It's more about, hey, it's Phil Spencer than, hey, Xbox has something. You know what I'm saying? So the whole event, you barely had any games. A lot of the games we've already seen, they're cross-plat. They're games that are coming out on the PS5, PS4. You know what I mean? They're not. Some weren't even next gen. And then you have a lot of games that were what I call, you know, they were supporting cast games. Their games, they were indie games, and they were advertised like they were heavy sellers, man. But now let's get to the biggest problem with Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer actually failed worse than the other guy. Yes, he had Xbox Game Pass where you can play old 360 games and a few games that come exclusively to the Xbox that are what, you know what I mean? Besides Forza and what, 5 games? Not that many. You know what I mean? There's some games in there, but nothing heavy. No heavy hits. No Uncharted level Spider-Man. But let me get to where he failed, and let me get to what people have to be worried about. Because like I said, the Xbox at this point is becoming shovelware. Microsoft is just, hey, go buy it. The Xbox Series X is being promoted just like they promoted the Xbox One X, where Phil Spencer just announced we have a very powerful console. You know, and let me tell you the biggest flaw of the Xbox One X. Instead of putting money, and remember this, they launched the Xbox One S that could push certain games to, you know what I'm saying, over 60 hertz to potentially 120 hertz. It was far more powerful and, far better than the Xbox One when it originally launched. So instead of using that money to develop more games, he spent the money on making a more powerful console, you know, the Xbox One X, with no games. Then he spent money to make a digital only Xbox, One. You know what I'm saying? Phil Spencer wasted a lot of money and attention. And a lot of Xbox gamers have to understand this guy doesn't want to make any games or provide anything that's memorable. Yes, he bought all these studios. But before I even get to that, let me remind you. Instead of putting money into new games, sequels, and new games, Phil Spencer put money on developing the Xbox One X, the quote-unquote most powerful console with no games. That's what he did in Microsoft. He spent the money on the Xbox One X that had no games. Instead of, let me use this money to make new games on the Xbox One S. You know what I'm saying? It would be the new Xbox. I don't even know why they even called it whatever. But so the Xbox Series X, doesn't that whole presentation look exactly like the Xbox One X? It's supposed to be the most powerful console, and it has no games. It has what you'll predict, Halo. It showed Gears 5 that was already on the last console. And here's the worst thing, the thing Phil Spencer did. You know, last year's E3, and he brought the people that did Senua Blade. He brought a lot of companies that are making games. Instead of having a game to show, he just walked them up. Look, my name's Phil Spencer and Xbox. We hired all these new studios and all these new developers, but they got no games to show you. This isn't a board meeting. Gamers aren't interested in who you hired. We're interested in the results. So Xbox there. Then a year fast forward to now where you have the same people you hired. We're on a next gen console and all they have to show, what is it, Senua Blade Chronicles. How did they have gameplay demos when they were flat broke? When they were working for themselves, but now they're working for you, Microsoft, for you, Phil Spencer, and they have no gameplay. They got no game to show but an old trailer and some maps. You know what I'm saying? Phil Spencer doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to the games for the console, when it comes to game development and games that should be on the console. Instead, all he does, he's here. For example, the whole Xbox showcase. A lot of those games weren't even playable. We on the next gen console. You want to show people gameplay, not cutscenes. You know what I mean? You don't show any games. In the majority of the games, none were heavy hitters. For example, I'm going to give you, and I'm going to tell you this. The way Xbox is going, man, We need another competitor. Apple needs to get involved, man, because Microsoft's already quit, man. Right now, in all honesty, you should just be thinking about two consoles. What Nintendo's gonna be doing with the Switch, and what in the next PS5. Microsoft has disqualified itself. They're not doing games. But let me get to the solution. Let me get to the solution that Phil Spencer. Microsoft needs to either fire the guy. I wouldn't fire him. I'd say demote him. He needs to be demoted to just handling the consoles design, the infrastructure for the online, because he did a great job with providing the internet, creating the whole, the cloud gaming for Xbox, and having a repository for playing games, backwards compatibility. He did that. He did great. Though he does need to make Xbox playing online on Xbox multiplayer should be free. There's no reason you should be paying to access your modem to use servers that you could use on PC for free on other games. You could play Call of Duty online for free on your PC online. You're not paying some service or some other multiplayer game. You're just using your modem. Now let's get to the solutions. Instead of Microsoft, what should have happened with Microsoft was this. If Phil Spencer, like I said, Phil Spencer needs to be demoted. And like I said, use the hashtag Xbox what games. Xbox where the games at. Yeah, that's the hashtag Xbox where the games at. You know what I'm saying? That sounds better. Xbox where the games at Phil Spencer, Microsoft, and Xbox. You know what I mean? Because this been going on for over 10 years now, them just choosing to fail. Now, instead of Xbox coming out showcasing the sequel to Killer Instincts, new Killer Instincts 2 fighting game with better graphics, new characters, and so on, nothing. Instead of the people they hired, Sensua Chronicles, that's working on that sword game, I can't pronounce it. The name is, it's hard to pronounce. Blade, Sensua, whatever. Instead of them showing gameplay, they just showed a trailer. But the solution for the Xbox should have been gameplay of that. The solution for the Xbox should have been, sequel announced to some other games, Banjo-Kazooie. Sequel announced and showcasing gameplay of, Alone in the Dark. You know what I'm saying? Gameplay of Fable. You know what I mean? Heavy hitters. Gameplay should have been shown in Microsoft of new Banjo-Kazooie. Gameplay. And here's the other thing. Microsoft could have paid the developers. And this is why Microsoft Xbox fails so badly. Your majority of games are developed to work on Windows. So instead of Microsoft keeping track of that, they could have hired the people who did Shovel Knight for the sequel. They could have paid for the sequel or 3D, upgrade of the game. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when Xbox 360 remade, I think they paid for a remake of Street Fighter 2, and they paid for some other games. They could have announced they could have announced a sequel to Ninja Gaiden. They could have paid for that. They could have, in all the studios they hired, they could have at least had them have some playable demos. You know what I mean? I'm not doing this from a script. So I'm just going through my head on some games here and there. Microsoft could have also, like I said, they could have hired some indie the studios they had, they could have paid them, they could have had them have a playable demo. The new Halo should have been exclusively for the Xbox, the new Xbox Series X with gameplay, and it can't be played on the older consoles. You know what I mean? You're trying to advertise new, but the reason he's doing that is because Phil Spencer knows that he failed with the Xbox One X that just came out with Forza. That's it. You could play Forza in 4K. That's it. Instead of them making more games, So to me, Microsoft could have came out with more heavy hitters from Rare. they could have got into it. Because to me, Killer Instincts 2 would have been easy to do. All you needed was new character models, a few animations, boom, you know. But to me, you know, I'm going to say this to people thinking about buying the Xbox. There's no plan. You shouldn't do it. The Xbox now, Phil Spencer has proven that all he can do is give you nice hardware. Hey, we got the most powerful console. Well, let me tell you something, Phil Spencer. That console you're building isn't more powerful than a PC somebody could build, and they have access to their internet. And guess what they're using? Windows. I said, man, put the hashtag Xbox where the game's at. You know what I mean? Xbox where the game's at. Hashtag at Phil Spencer. Put that on there, man. Because right now, the Xbox is just showing all Phil Spencer is about is building a powerful console with no games. The Xbox Series X is just a more powerful Xbox One X, as in it won't have any games. That's what's happening. That's what's coming. You hire these studios, and 2 years later, barely any of them have playable games to show. And then you're on the next gen console and you're just showcasing trailers and cutscenes instead of gameplay. And then Phil Spencer comes out with a shirt like he's copying the old exec. Because I'm Phil Spencer. That's all y'all need. Hey, it's Phil Spencer. I'm still here. I'm still strong. You know, that's all y'all need. Y'all don't need games. Y'all just need to worship Phil Spencer. That's what Xbox has become about. Hey, it's Phil Spencer. Hey, it's Phil Spencer. Hey, it's Phil Spencer. I'm a gamer, but if you're such a gamer, Phil Spencer, where the games at? Xbox, where the games at? No games.
They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of